This card is the Death card in reverse. In the upright, death means the end of a cycle. It means a transition. It typically does not mean an actual physical death of a person, although for some of you it can. But remember that this is in the upright, meaning something hasn't happened yet. There's a new cycle that's going to be happening for you. I may be a little distracted. My cat's over here, and he's curious about everything. Excuse me. Anyway, what this means is there's some kind of a cycle or a chapter of your life that's coming to a completion. It has not happened just yet. But understand that death is a natural clearing process. It's kind of like at the end of summer and fall, we see there's that little death as we go into winter, right? The leaves in the trees, they change colors. They have kind of their final swan song. And then they fall off the trees. The trees kind of go into a dormant period, most of them. At least there's a retarding of growth that occurs if they're, say, an evergreen tree. That's not a big growth cycle. But then they're reborn again in the spring. And this part of the process is death in the reverse. Excuse me. That can simply mean that there's a delaying of some sort of an end of a cycle that would be happening for you. So, but it may be just simply a temporary delay. Doesn't mean that it will be delayed forever. But that is coming into play here. Or at least that's sort of, I guess, the one card summary, if you want to think of it that way, of your reading in general. The Judgment card in reverse is the card that's covering you, meaning this is the basic energy you're operating in right now. In the upright, this really is about that closing of a chapter and what comes next. Really what comes next, it's kind of, there's a personal growth experience, a spiritual growth that occurs for you that is coming. And this is about the celebration of having gotten through the rough times, having learned your lessons from that cycle. Because it's in the reverse, you may not quite be there yet to the celebration that, oh, thank you, God, the cycle's over. So there's that influence. It ties in with the Death card really, really beautifully. It really, really does. Right? For some of you that are interested in that, the Death card can be a Scorpio, Judgment can be a Libra, influence. I don't tend to rely too heavily on major arcana cards such as these and what zodiac sign they tend to go with. But I tend to think of these more as the spiritual journey of the person within them, and then look at some of these type of cards, the court cards, Queen, Page, Knight, King, cards as representing more the people. Which brings us to our next, which is the Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Coins. This is an influence that's coming into play. This person here, she is a wise, benevolent mother. She could be a Virgo. She could be Taurus, Capricorn. She's a woman that is in her own. She is materially established. She has a house. She has a business. Maybe she's a manager. Somebody like that that's coming into play. Maybe somebody who's helping you as you're trying to go through and complete a cycle and begin anew. Pardon me. I know last time in Scorpio reading, I was thinking that some of you may have been pregnant. This would be potentially about you haven't quite gotten through that cycle just yet. Maybe you're still pregnant. Maybe you haven't had your child yet, but maybe you're right there in that transition where you're about to give birth. Then again, for others of you, it may sort of be something that you've been dealing with on a spiritual level that you haven't quite completed the lesson of that cycle yet. One thing we do know is that we tend to repeat ourselves. History and ourselves tend to repeat ourselves if we're not able to learn from a lesson. So perhaps this is that there's somebody who's that earth sign or that practical wise person. Could be a woman, not necessarily, but somebody with kind of a maternal energy or a loving embodiment of energy who is very practical and maybe the person who soothes you when you're experiencing emotional distress because something is not making sense for you yet. You're not able to make sense of whatever that struggle is that you've been going through. So this could simply be wise counsel from someone, right? But either way, we need our friends right now, any of the difficulties that we're going through. crowning you. That's sort of what's on your mind, what may come to pass, depending. In the upright, this is really about movement, travel, changing jobs, changing locations, moving. This is in the reverse, so that transition has not yet happened. But again, that's kind of a reinforcement of the Judgment card in reverse, the Death card in reverse. You're not ready to take this next step, perchance, because you haven't quite figured out what it is that you're supposed to learn from this so that you can make more sense of what your next steps are going to be. So there's sort of an arresting or a pause, a delay in this type of movement. Now, the Swords cards are air. That's thoughts, that's intellect, it's communication, email, internet, whatever. But it really has to do with ideas. So just in recognizing that, sometimes it could be a mental move, if not an actual physical move. But again, whatever that is, that's an arresting or a pause button in that that level. And again, I'm for this, I think it may be that something's not making sense for you. Some experience that you've been through that's been a very deep one of spiritual significance. You haven't quite been able to make sense of what the lesson is that you're supposed to take from that. But good news is there is good support. Now, this card is beneath you. This is what you have already, or what you will have, what is already in the cards, if you want to say. This is something that, while this Six of Swords in the reverse is kind of hypothetical, meaning we are creatures of free will. So we have a choice as to whether or not this comes into play, or others in our life have a choice as to whether this comes into play. This is something that the wheels have already been set in motion. So if you're not experiencing this energy, you will be. In the upright, this is a person who has done everything that they need to plant seeds, make them grow. They've tilled the soil, they've planted the seeds, they've watered, they've put nutrients. I know I'm getting the order of that wrong, but you get the idea. This person is waiting for something. They're waiting for the seeds that they've sown to reap the benefit. This is coming out of that. This is the harvest time, right? This is a harvesting of that. This is giving birth if you're pregnant. You're either about to give birth, or you have already or recently, or in the situation of somebody who has maybe applied for a new job, you've been accepted for the position, or you're about to be accepted for that position, or they've made their decision and they're about to communicate that information with you, right? But just like we see up here, for some of you, it may be that the information hasn't come in. They've accepted you, they want you, but they haven't given you the call or the email yet to say that they've chosen you for that position. So there's that. Okay. Moving forward, this is in the future. This is before you. This is the Chariot card, and it is in the upright. Please note that in the Rider Tarot deck, the Chariot, if you look at these Sphinx creatures, and they do represent the balance of polarities, duality, right? Now, the Chariot card does associate with Cancer. So again, for those of you that are giving birth, if you're giving birth right now, it's maybe not in this second, your child is likely a Cancer. But in this, you'll see the individual is here with the Chariot, but they're not moving. They're just sort of laying there, right? These two Sphinxes. These represent the masculine, the feminine, well, the white is masculine, the black feminine, the yin, the yang, yin, yang, whatever. Okay, night, day, emotions, logic, right? Emotions and reason. And as human beings, we are gifted with both of those things. Part of what we have to do on Earth is make room for both of those. We're trying to find a balance between our emotions and our logic. I may be justified in my anger, but I have to control my anger with my logic so that I don't murder you, for example. I know that's an extreme example, but we really are trying to bring the two of these into balance. And once we've brought these energies into balance, then we will be able to move forward. So this may be, again, this idea of a temporary arresting of movement, but it's not going to be long. It shouldn't be long for you for that. The card representing you is the Hermit. And again, for those of you that were expecting, this could be your going within. I mean, most of the people that, most women when they've got a brand newborn, they're not trying to go out and be the life of the party, right? There takes a time where you need to retreat. For those of you that are not in that energy, maybe you have been looking for a new job. Right? I'm not seeing a whole lot of relationship, as in romantic relationship energies in this deck. but in this spread, it is possible, though, for some of you that you are in that type of energy, not necessarily. But the Hermit really is about going within and sort of lighting your own way. The Hermit is that wise soul. And this is really what is needed right now in order for this Judgment card to turn into the upright. Yes, there's a sense of the need of counsel with this other person, but you also have to do a lot of the work yourself, because this is in the reverse. If this is less of a spiritual journey, it could be being mistaken about something, but receiving that good counsel anyway. Oh, pardon. I hate being all crumbled up on tape. But the Hermit really is about taking time to sit with the information, meditation, going within, and figuring out what this needs, what you need to do, what steps you need to take to get this chariot in motion, to balance your conflicting energies, to be able to turn this I'm not going anywhere kind of energy to movement, travel, if that's what you decide to do, right? In your environment, again, we see another helping female type influence, the Queen of Wands in your environment. That would be Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries. Note she's got her little black cat as a friend, like my little black cat over here, Merlin. But this person is somebody who is fiery, is feisty, is passionate, but is also a benevolent source. This is a person that would fiercely defend you if something were going wrong. This could be how you're impacting your environment right now. This could be somebody who's a friend of yours who's helping you through your transition, or at least as you're trying to complete whatever cycle you've been in so that you can move forward in your life. But this person's somebody who's beneficial for you, for sure. If this is not a person, but rather a situation, it could be that you are in a place where you're beginning to determine what would bring passion into your life so that you can then make it manifest in your environment, that you can kind of be the queen of your environment, that you can rule that. This is very definitely, you look at the lions up here, you look at the sunflower, there's lions on her throne, even the black cat is symbolic of lions. This is Egypt. They had a lot of lion and cat symbology in Egyptian mythology. This situation has a lot to do with regality. And, that doesn't mean royalty in a literal sense, but I like to think that class, any person can be classy regardless of the situation of their birth. That's really the American ideal, which is that nobility of character is what counts in a situation, but really bringing that forth, no matter what your distress or your struggles are. This is about bringing that forward with elegance and grace, but really mastering the things that you feel the most passionate about, like your home life, right? Really bringing that to bear. Oh, I do think I forgot one card. I apologize for that. Behind you is the Emperor card. This could be an Aries possibility. Okay, but this is certainly, he's the ideal father, husband, person. I don't have to be sexist here, but this is the person who is ideal in the situation. This is your perfect match, right? And this person here is somebody who's going to create a stable environment. You're not just going to be at a barely at subsistence level, but this is somebody that's going to really bring you the best of everything. Emotionally, physically, spiritually, right? He's going to let you do what it is that you need to do in your home and balance you very well. But he's willing to also fight and kick some, euphemism. But he's going to defend the home. This is an energy in your recent past. But again, that makes sense, given some of the other things we're talking about here today. Now, hopes and fears. The High Priestess. The High Priestess is kind of Virgo, virgin goddess type energy. Remember that the Vestal virgins weren't necessarily actually virgins. It just meant that they were not under the auspices or care of any males in particular. Rather, they had a different level of service. In here, we see the pomegranate, which is associated with femininity, pagan goddess type energy. But she is holding some holy books and scrolls. She's very in tune with the lunar energies and mysticism. She's a person who's intuitive. For some of you, your intuition may scare you a little bit. Maybe you're not sure what to make of that. Then again, this could be exactly what you're hoping for. And I do have this thought that a lot of times the things that we want the most are the things that we actually do fear. We fear getting what we want sometimes too. Having good intuition means we can't be phony with ourselves anymore. It means it makes it harder to live a lie. At the same time, it makes it easier to live in our truth. But a lot of times we may not come into an awareness of what our truth is until we get to this place. And then we realize, oh man, I've got to make a lot of changes. There's a lot of things I'm going to need to do differently. But I feel like all this delay that you've been experiencing here is coming to an end. And we see right here, we have the Ace of Wands card. This is fire, passion, new beginnings. This is wonderful. This is that experience of birth, symbolic or literal. You're rebirthing something in your life. You may not know exactly what that is that's coming in, but this Chariot is going to be taking off with this energy here. Finding a balance between the black and white, the dark and the night, the feminine and the masculine energies, the conflicting feelings within you, being able to harness both of those polarities, the dualities that you're feeling, and to be able to harness them and move them so that your Chariot is moving in one unified direction. Turning this from the upside down into the upright so that you can move on in your life. Again, that's a delay over there, the Six of Swords in reverse. So's the Chariot sitting there in that way, not springing forth. This is telling you that whatever that was that you were trying to manifest, it is coming in. And it will be coming in very quickly too. You do have help. This Queen of Pentacles here, this could be the person, this could be the manager, the supervisor, the hiring person that's going to offer you that job. Look at that great big coin she's ready to offer you. That is exciting. Something's coming in. Again, whatever this is, whatever seeds you've sown, they are coming into fruition. This is happening. This is an offering she's making. And given the position, she's looking right at you. Right at your harvest right there. That's a great thing coming in. So that ends our journey over here. But I did want to pull one Healing with the Angels Oracle card over here and see if perhaps Spirit has anything to offer us or any words of wisdom that might help you, especially as you're looking to change this energy from slow moving and stagnation a little bit. I don't want to say stagnation because, you know, when something is growing, there's a lot of activity under the soil long before we ever see the first shoots come through the surface of the earth. So it's not that it's actually stagnant. It's just that our eyes are incapable of seeing it. We don't see it or hear it or smell it because of the limitations of our physical makeup. But it is coming. It is really coming for you. I'm very excited, Scorpio. I think you got a lot of good things going on. A lot of really good stuff that you're going to be feeling passionate about. You're going to be excited about. You're going to have mastery over.